When I was in high school, I became friends with a guy named Tiny. No, that was not his real name. I don't actually remember his real name because nobody called him by anything but his nickname. I mean, how great of a nickname is that? Well, I guess the nickname isn't great if you're short or small for your age. But the thing is, Tiny was a big dude. He looked like a grown man amongst teenagers. As you can imagine, my friend group was pretty small, and we embraced Tiny immediately, and he embraced us. We all loved hanging out together, but over time, Tiny slowly started becoming friends with an older, more popular crowd. This made sense. He looked and acted older, and my friend group wasn't exactly the most popular or mature. Eventually, he was just an acquaintance that I said hello to when I passed him in the hall. One day, my mom asked me about him. "When's the last time you talked to your new friend? What's his name again?" And I was thinking, Mom, how could you possibly forget this guy's name? I told her, I was like, "Tiny, yeah, I saw him in the hall today. I said hi, but we don't really hang out anymore." Then my mom proceeded to follow up with about 50 questions. Did you get in a fight? Did he hurt your feelings? Did you hurt his feelings? Did you find out that he was 30-something-year-old lumberjack pretending to be a high schooler? Did he find out that you have the same sense of humor as a middle schooler? No, Mom, we just went different directions. It happens sometimes. See, in this series, we're talking about how to friend. And we need to learn what to do when it's time to unfriend. How do we handle it when friendships drift apart or move in different directions? Sometimes change in a friendship isn't over a reason that was a huge deal. Sometimes, however, the reasons aren't so cut and dry. Maybe you and a friend had a difference of opinions about something that you both feel very strongly about. Maybe you had a friend who hurt you with their words or their actions, and it's something that you just can't move on from right now. Maybe you had a friend who started walking a different path, one that you didn't think is good for them or for you. Wherever you find yourself right now, the reality and the truth is, many friendships only last for a season. Friendships have the potential to change, for better or for worse. So how do we friend through a transition? How do we walk away and handle it well? How do we carry ourselves in a mature way even when our feelings are hurt and our emotions get involved? Well, after Jesus no longer walked the earth, the book of Acts tells the story about what happened next. With Jesus gone, his closest followers, his disciples, were wondering what to do with his incredible message and how to share it with the world. So they began traveling to different places and sharing the life-changing message of Jesus. In the passage we're looking at today, we have three guys, Paul, Barnabas, and John Mark. These guys were getting things done, but it wasn't always easy for them. Check this out. Sometime later, Paul said to Barnabas, "Let us go back and visit the believers in all the towns where we preach the word of the Lord and see how they are doing." Barnabas wanted to take John, also called Mark, with them, but Paul didn't think that was wise to take him because he had deserted them in another city and had not continued with them in the work. Paul and Barnabas were friends who were doing some pretty important work together. And when they decided to go back and check on some of those churches, problems started. The fact is this: the story is included in our Bible and is so important, but would it have been much easier if the writers had just decided to make everyone look like a hero? Or if they told you the stuff you were supposed to do or believe when it comes to your faith? The Bible's a collection of stories about real people who had real disagreements and lived in real tensions and are doing their best to get it right when it comes to following Jesus. Check out what happens next. They had such a sharp disagreement that they, Paul and Barnabas, parted company. Barnabas took Mark and sailed for Cyprus. Paul chose Silas and left. Commended by the believers to the grace of the Lord, he went through Syria and Cilicia, strengthening the churches. Listen, Paul and Barnabas were two guys who understood the power of showing grace, overlooking offenses, and moving forward. If we can make peace, we need to try. But if we can't, we need to have boundaries. And that's what Paul and Barnabas did. When we read this story, their disagreement may sound petty or small, but it was a big deal to them. When you think about it, any type of conflict is always a big deal when you're one of the people involved. In fact, maybe you've experienced something similar. What I love most about the story isn't that it ends in conflict. The writer of Acts, Luke, goes on to say that the two men, Paul and Barnabas, kept going in the important work that they were doing. Think about it. They could have let this conflict in their relationship stop them. They could have let it impact the work that they knew needed to be done. They could have stopped talking about Jesus and started talking trash about one another. But they didn't. Their friendship changed and ended. But they didn't let it end the mission that they shared. And here's what I think that you and I can learn from them. Being a friend means walking away friendly. You can, like Paul and Barnabas, have a friendship-ending disagreement while still going on with your life in a way that doesn't impact you or the other person for the worse, right? Where we're not talking badly about one another. So how do we walk away friendly? Even in the moments when you don't feel like it or when you think it's not fair, let's start with one simple word. That word is forgive. This one word is a really big deal. So if we're gonna choose to forgive, we can start like this. Identify why you're frustrated. Name your pain. Whether you're upset with them for making the choices they're making or you're upset that they're no longer talking to you, there's no reasonable explanation or things changed. And it wasn't because of something that anyone did. Figure out why you're upset. Don't try to figure out who's right and who's wrong. Just identify why you're upset. Then, cancel their offense. That might look like letting go of what you think they owe you, canceling the debt, softening your bitterness towards them and the circumstances that you're experiencing. It's okay to be hurt and feel hurt, but don't let your hurt get the final word. As God has forgiven you through Jesus, pass that on to them. Ask God to help you extend forgiveness to them. When God helps us forgive other people, we see more clearly how God has forgiven us. Forgiveness is a chance to see God at work. Forgive, then forgive again, then forgive again, then forgive again. Or if the friendship simply changed over time, no one was at fault, it may be realizing that there's no offense to forgive. Peter, another person who helped start the early church, said this. Finally, all of you should be one mind. Sympathize with each other. Love each other as brothers and sisters. Be tender-hearted and keep a humble attitude. Don't repay evil for evil. Don't retaliate with insults when people insult you. Instead, pay them back with a blessing. You don't have to continue to be friends, but that doesn't mean that you have to become an enemy. This will be challenging, but the work is worth it.